have a plan to rip up and throw out the window.
Absolutely.
Now let's freestyle. All right, welcome back to a video to work on a crowdfunding campaign. This is Film Flashbacks. We're gonna be going through some old projects that I've worked on, starting with Jasper's senior project that we shot recently, Old Acquaintance. The algorithm is gonna hate this one, but I don't care because we wanna talk about the movies. This is Notes on a Film.
So, Old Acquaintance is the story of River, who recently graduated college and is feeling sort of lost in this space, especially since he's lost his best friend, Sam. He wants to reconnect on New Year's Eve 1999 with a few of his best friends from college. He begins to sort of process how he felt about Sam and their sort of complex relationship.
What was your experience shooting this film, especially with it being like our final project of undergrad?
It felt like the culmination of a lot of things. Like, it was the senior project I think it's like maybe the perfect like idea of what a senior project is bringing all this stuff together, bringing all this experience together. So, how was it like DPing this project?
It was interesting, especially because I came on a little last minute. So this one, so Jasper did like all the pre-production stuff, like shot lists, schedule strips, all that, with his producer Kaylee, who's now my producer on Dubaku Brothers.
Incredible
Yeah.
person, such a great producer and AD on set.
Yeah, Kaylee's dialed. She's so invaluable and irreplaceable. DPing this one was fun. I was definitely like rusty coming off of being in Greece. Like, I wasn't doing like film shooting at all. I was just taking photos. So to be able to warm up a bit on yours, I felt like bad, but also grateful to work on it. I think we made some good stuff though.
I think we really did. We had you and like Lily on focus. And
Yeah, Lily was very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Let's look at that one take.
This is towards the beginning of the film. It's a moment for the character. It's this hint of like the sort of emotional turmoil he's going through. The scene is sort of mirrored later again in the film. This kid is like not all right. Sam especially did a really great job, but Elias got the motion of this down really, really fast. Like, I think we had literally motion locked in like 2 takes.
The choreography of this one was really interesting because I wasn't in pre-production, so on set, right before we're about to shoot, Jasper's like miming the movement, and then I have to like memorize the dance, so to speak, because we were going handheld. I didn't have a shoulder rig, I was just holding it, and so it's me, the camera op, and it's Sam, the actor, through this like narrow little turn and the fridge, and we
Dodging light and everything to
Yeah.
not throw shadow on the ground. It was super complicated, but I think it turned out incredible. You followed his fist down when he slammed the radiator, which wasn't in the choreography at all.
This might have been the hardest shot to light because we just had to light the space. We couldn't have like, a soft key on his face.
Yeah.
But that's the best moment when he takes the extra sip.
That's incredible. What do you think your favorite shot on set was?
It was the first day and I didn't know it would be my favorite shot. We were in this liquor store and it was all overhead fluorescence and like we couldn't, cut off everything. So
we had gotten up at like 5 a.m. to try to get as much darkness as we could while they were like letting us use the store.
So we had to like put garbage bags over the windows to block out the sun that was like clearly coming in on Sam's face. And it's like, that's not moonlight. Like, that's just clear sun. But towards the end of that day, we had to get the over the shoulder shots of Sam and your dad, who played Randy. And I think this is really cool because this is the most like lighting we got to do that day.
Absolutely.
So we had like a tube light over here that's giving a little extra highlight on his face. And then directly in front of him, there's not a ton of lighting, so it just kind of falls off a little softly into the shadow, which we accentuated by putting a negative fill over here, which is just like a huge black cloth. And then you actually get shadows and, dare I say, like loop lighting or Rembrandt lighting on his face. And there's a catch light in his eye, which was really nice. And then
you get the
Sam's
really
still in
nice
shadow.
you get the really nice shadow under his nose and everything.
Yeah.
picking up the drop off here is so great. And while still keeping that backlight from the rest of the store on his
Yes,
shoulder.
very true. And honestly, we used the bokeh as a pretty big cheat code to just get a super blurry background.
Absolutely.
This was 75 mil, and it was T2.1. So we actually had to use ND to drop exposure down because it was so bright in there, but we didn't want to sacrifice the bokeh. We shot on the FX3, which is just gorgeous camera.
Great camera.
Honestly, my rustiness was saved by the equipment that we were using. Using your shoulder rig was nice at times.
Shout out my stepdad, Dave, for getting me that.
This shot was actually Sierra camera operating.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was tired by the end of this day.
It's a heavy camera. It's a heavy
Someone
camera.
get this off of me. So she has it on her shoulder. Lily is off to the side doing focus. We had a good team.
Ben is another film student. We lost one of our actors, just like middle of day 2. Kaylee's like, Sierra found someone. What do you think about this guy? He had said yes like 12 hours before we started shooting him, and he was like improving this stuff. Ben is just sort of, he's being the character of Barry, who is just this solid presence, just a guy who's there and like is listening and is like concerned about his friend and like maybe didn't know how bad things had gotten.
Okay, let's talk about the cinematography a little bit.
Absolutely.
On this one.
I think we got really lucky with like the placement of this because there's like a sodium light out on the street, and that's a bunch of this here is from that sodium light, but it's sort of just being shaped and augmented by the lanterns and the scrim, and then you're getting the contrast super warm on Sam here, and then you're getting the contrast on Ben of cool, but it's just this rim on his face there.
I thought it was really interesting when we racked to Sam. He has so many beats of silence where like he's actually not talking at all, and we're just sitting there. And then we rack back to Ben, and it's just kind of him like, okay, let's see where this goes now. Right. You want to see your actors, obviously, but you don't want to just stick a light right next to them. So this light, the distance was like maybe 20 or 30 feet. And that meant that the shadows would be harsh. So there's still the triangle, but it's a harsh triangle.
Yeah.
We still softened it up a little bit, and we tried to maintain the catch light in his eyes, and when Ben is looking, you can see it there as well. Shooting through Ben to use him as a foreground element was nice because I always try to get at least 3 layers. So Ben is 1, that's the foreground. Sam is in the midground, that's 2, and then the background is 3.
I think that's so awesome too that it's weighted super frame left because there is this like missing person that they're talking about, and that empty space sort of being left over for him.
You know, if you do your little grid, I know it's getting sloppy now, like their eyes are roughly on that top one, and then Ben is in the left third.
Yeah.
As you're saying, Sam is in the center, and then empty space on the right. I think it worked out.
I think it really did. We got to use some of the equipment from the department that like no one had really used before. Like I think
Yeah.
I was the only one who'd used a jib arm before, and that was just for an internship. And I think it theoretically could have been done with a tripod, but like having a camera up on a crane feels kind of like a moment, you know?
Well, actually, it couldn't be done on a tripod.
Oh, right,
because if you look closely, you see this bar, and this bar was so high, and
Right, I forgot we cheated those chairs that they're sitting in up on bed risers.
yes, in this house that we were filming in, just conveniently, by the grace of God, there were 8 bed risers, and they were right at a level where when they are sitting down, you get just enough above this bar.
Just this bust above the railing, and it was such a great shot composition, I think. And you can see where the shadow like falls on top of it, that gradient between the warm light from outside and the cool light of under the porch, I think was such a cool bit of contrast.
The porch is like right above here, so you could already, before we added in our own light shining through this direction, the light was apparent and it was falling in this exact way. So when we added light, it warmed this section up a little bit more, and just the contrast was so much more apparent.
Yeah.
And inside, this is the kitchen right here. Like there's a door over here, you walk in, and then the kitchen is that room. And inside we left some of the tube lights on so you get a bit of level in these windows so it's not pitch black. Because in the scene, like, he walks out of the space that people are still in.
Yes.
So the lights aren't off back there. And then, yeah, the soft lantern over here through the scrim. We get to see his eyes pretty well, and, you know, they get to share the cigarette here, and that's the thing that holds them together in this broken little family that they got.
I think this was just such a fun shot to do, and it was like one of the last shots we did on the whole thing on the last night. And it starts snowing when we're setting up the jib, and it's like this kind of magical moment. If I had to like distill this production down into a moment, like what is that gonna be? That's it. It was super corny, but I can't wait to see what your moment on your set is gonna look like.
It's actually a really good point that you're making. Like, we can do all the planning in the world, but when you actually come down to being on set and like something goes wrong or not to plan, that's when like all the prep actually really pays off, because you're like, okay, we have a plan to rip up and throw out the window.
Absolutely.
Now let's freestyle. And those moments are always really fun.
And with your help,
with your help, you can see another movie be made, Dubaku Brothers. Donate to the Seed and Spark, please. Help me make the movie and Jasper come on, and then I can actually pay Jasper to work on the film, which I'm sure he'd love some extra cash.
I would. I'm not very flush right now.
Me neither, dog. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.